Hello everyone and welcome to another lesson.
Hello.
How are you doing, Anthony?
Wonderful. How are you today?
Good, all good.
Great.
Actually, you know what? Me and Anthony work very close to each other, but we haven't seen each other all day. So, but let's get back to our lesson. Now, as you know, in our previous lesson, our third lesson, we spoke about the obstacles, the ups and downs inside a spiritual work. And we also said that actually there are no ups and downs. Basically, just like in life, right? We get a lot of things in life, but life teaches us, doesn't it? So why do we always say we learn from experience? So even though I had a bad day, it kind of teaches me something, and I kind of make something out of it, and that experience kind of adds value to my decisions in the future. So although we talked about ups and downs in spirituality, we actually talked about them in a positive, kind of like positive way, because they actually teach us how to keep focused on the path. And they're actually, all the obstacles, all the ups and downs that we go through, they're the leverage that we're actually using to go higher and higher in attainment and increasing the level of our consciousness. So in that sense, obstacles, as we learned last week, is the way to go. And we don't have to be afraid of them. They're just like, we get issues in life, we get issues in spiritual life as well. And it's all good for us to advance. In order for us to advance, we're going to add now a new concept. Well, not a new concept entirely, it's not entirely new, but we're going to go slightly deeper into a very, very important topic, and that's called the environment. Okay? Because as you know, we're all products of the environment, right? This is how advertisers and marketers do all their advertising, because if they expose us enough inside an environment to a certain product or service, they're pretty confident that we'll buy it. So environment actually is a very fundamental law of nature, simply because we're all influenced by the environment. We basically do what the environment tells us to do. We're all influenced by it, we all flow with it. If we don't, the society kind of shakes us up a little bit and may even give us a hard time. So one way or another, somehow, we need to kind of integrate ourselves into the environment called society, whichever country you live in, right? So different countries have different cultures, but the principle is the same. Let's say we're European, or you're African or Chinese or American, Australian, doesn't matter where. Wherever you live, you kind of live with the flow of that country, and that way you kind of have you get along, let's say. And in spirituality as well, we need an environment as well. And why is it so important in spirituality? Is because, well, for one thing, we're doing work that's against our nature. So environment under these circumstances becomes doubly, well, in fact, quadruply more important, simply because in our normal lives, as our nature is a desire to receive pleasure, we are able to chase pleasures because that's our nature. And if we really want something, we can really go after something without really being tired, because we have a desire to get something. However, spirituality, as you know, pursuant to the development of our corporeal lives, okay, as we develop corporeally, what happens is we have desires that relate to this corporeal world. You know this drawing from before, okay? And these are our still desires, like, let's just do this, like family, food, sex. These are called animate desires, okay? Animate. Because we actually need them, animate body, to survive. We need food and water, don't we? We need shelter, we need family, and we need corporeal sex, okay? It's a necessity for all living creatures, including plants, okay? They also have that as well, animals as well. Why? Because it actually creates the next generation. So these things are necessity, and they're called our still desires, still level of existence. Okay, these are things we keep to maintain our lives. And then we have social desires. And our social desires are money, power, or power, control, pride, okay, being on top of others. And lastly is knowledge. And once we're kind of in this feeling that all these corporeal, all these worldly desires are not fulfilling me anymore, what we do is, by process of development, what we have is the awakening of the dot in the heart. And then a person starts asking about the meaning of life. And we've talked about this before, so you guys know about it. So the funny thing here is, though, our worldly desires, although we don't feel any fulfillment in them anymore, we just think, we just don't think they're worthwhile chasing. This is why we have a dot in the heart awakening now. It's still a very strong part of us, because it's like really embedded in us. So our desire to receive worldly pleasures are very, very strong inside of us. And also, not only that, but on top of that, the whole world is inside these worldly desires. And what happens is, every time I step out of the house, or in fact I'm in the house, I'm on the internet, the TV, whatever, wherever I turn to, I'm actually completely drowned and immersed in all of the desires, the worldly corporeal desires of the whole planet. Okay, because of advertising, TV, media, I'm just in it. That's our environment nowadays, isn't it? It's the internet, the TV, and so on. So when the dot in the heart awakens inside of a person, and the person really wants to come to the purpose of life and wants to study the meaning of life and to advance in it, he needs or she needs an environment as well, and it really needs to be strong so that these worldly desires don't really drag us behind, and so we can move forward in spirituality as well. So this is why the environment is the topic for today, and this is why it's very, very important. In order for me to develop spiritually with a dot in the heart, the Creator has now given us something that He has not given other people in the world. By having a dot in the heart, what we have is, first of all, a part of spirituality is already inside of us. So we already have this pinching sensation. That's one thing. And the second thing is, we're still stuck, guess where? In this world. Okay, so this is this world. When I say this world, I'm talking about our corporeal desires. Obviously, which country or where or what doesn't really matter. This world means I'm stuck in the desires of this world. And my spiritual inclination, the dot in the heart, let's say, D-I-H, okay, dot in the heart, wants to kind of get out of this world. It's no longer feeling the necessity to kind of advance in these corporeal, childish, manners that humanity is living in. And on the other hand as well, we're looking at life, we're looking at the world, and we're seeing that the whole world is a big mess. I mean, who'd really want to live here? On the one hand, we have a planet just like heaven on earth, right? It's like amazing with all the beautiful places and the locations you can go to. You have everything in the world. On the other hand, we have a human population that likes to destroy everything. And then you're thinking, well, who'd want to be here? Okay, because we can't get pleasure out of anything. So this dot in the heart, however, is exactly as the name describes it. It is just a dot in the heart. However, by being in these two inclinations, in this state where I feel like I'm split into two, I have, what do I have? Freedom of choice. And our freedom lies in choosing the correct environment so I can develop in whichever way I want. So if I want to develop spiritually, I need to choose for myself a spiritual environment.
And that's probably one of the best environments you can choose.
That's right, you know you won't get into trouble there. Okay, so I'll need to choose let's do a spiritual environment. Or I need to choose for myself a corporeal environment or worldly environment. Okay, so I'm kind of stuck in this dilemma. So what do I need to do in order to advance in any desire that I have? Because at the end of the day, we understood from our previous lessons that the purpose of creation is for the Creator to give us everything. However, His idea of everything isn't quite our idea of everything, is it? We understood that He wants to give us everything inside this concept called spirituality. Whereas we want everything in this world called corporeality. So our desires are not really matching the Creator, are they? So the Creator has to kind of put us into a split, and He needs to give us the freedom of will so that we can develop independently. Now, so regular people on the outside who are not in this inclination with a dot in the heart, they don't have a choice. So we don't have anything to complain about with people in this world who are out there living, because simply they're living according to all the earth and the instinctive things that are popping up and revealing inside of them, and they're just following that along. And there's nothing to talk about, because this is exactly how a cat, a bird, or an elephant or a monkey in the forest live. And we don't complain about their nature, do we? We don't. So we can't really complain about the nature of people out there on the street. So change needs to start with a group of people who have a dot in the heart. And in order for them to change, they need to understand that they need to strengthen each other, because if they don't, they're going to drown under the load of corporeal desires due to the massive impact and the strength of that corporeal environment. So these people who come together, let me do it this way, who come together in this environment are called a group. So these are the dots in the heart that come together. Okay, so let's say there's 25, 30 of us here. So we are now, what are we? We're a group. Okay, so we need to give each other strength, enthusiasm, motivation to kind of carry on, because where we're trying to go is really against our will to receive in this world, because where we want to get to is bestowal towards the Creator. That's the purpose of life, isn't it? To feel perfection and to have the ability to do everything is called bestowal and love, which is against our nature. Because we're not talking about the love that regular people on the street here talk about. No way. That's very egoistic love. In fact, when people say to somebody else, I love you in this world, they don't actually mean that they love you. What they mean is they love the sensation they get from you. Because we're a desire to receive. Think about it. That's very logical, isn't it? If I'm a desire to receive and I say to you, I love you, it's not because I really love you for being you. I love what I can get from you, the pleasures. Okay, just don't tell that to your wife or your husband, okay?
I can get you in a little trouble, right?
Okay, that'll get you into trouble, that's right. But I'm just, we're explaining laws of nature here. All right, so it's good for you to know. So on top of that, we're talking about something, when we're talking about love, we're talking about something very exceptional. We're talking about something that doesn't exist in this reality. However, by attaining this attribute, you actually attain the power to rule the whole of reality just like the Creator does. So that's quite fancy, isn't it? Wouldn't we all like to have that? But getting there is a little tricky, because loving others unconditionally is kind of weird for our nature. Secondly, it's not really desired by us at all. Our nature is against it, okay, because we love to love ourselves, really.
Oh, yes.
Exactly right. Anthony knows the feeling.
Yeah. Just so every now and then, you know.
All right, because we love ourselves, we're not really inclined to love others. But the only way we can really see that that is the truth is if I start to work on this concept inside an environment. Now, the whole idea that we don't work with this concept with the rest of the people on the outside world is simply because it's not mutual. Okay? And we can't have like a platonic relationship with them. Okay? In order for us to discover our nature, we need to be together in an environment with a group of people who really want to discover the laws of nature, their own nature, and the general nature, so that we can find that integration between both natures in order to discover this force called the Creator. All right, so environment is the most important thing, and the most important thing inside this environment, well, they're all important, but the friends are exceptionally important. So we have the friends, okay? Friends. Friends are those who are with me on the same path towards spirituality, okay? Then, what else do we have? Well, we have the sources that we learn from. Okay, so we have sources. We have the books. Okay, the books of Kabbalists. Books of authentic Kabbalists, mind you, because if you go out onto Google, you might find a lot of people who call themselves Kabbalists, but they are not. Okay, so books of authentic Kabbalists, which are the book of the Zohar, the book of Zohar, the book of Ari, which is the Tree of Life, and the composition of Baal HaSulam, who brought those two huge texts together in the Sulam commentary for the Zohar and the study of the 10 Sifrot, which is the commentary for Ari's Tree of Life, and all his articles and all his writings, plus all of the writings of Rabash, who describes to us with this book Social Writings, which is also in English. You should get it if you don't have it. It's a very good book for us to advance with. And all those sources are what we study from. And of course, who are we going to need? We're going to need a guide. A guide is someone who knows the way. So this is not like a guide you have in religions. Okay, because in religions you don't really have guides. In religions you have a person who tells you what to do. And that's not really a guide, is it? That's someone who likes to take control of your life. A guide means that he's explaining to you the things that you'll be going through as you advance in spirituality. So when those states and situations come up, you're fully equipped to develop yourself through the explanations and through the experience that he kind of passes on to you, so that you can get all that understanding without having to go through grief. Because just like in life, we can learn in two ways, can't we? I can take advice from my dad, my mom, my grandparents, because they've already, they have a lot of years under their belt. They have a lot of experience. So if I have a, question that I haven't really, have an idea about how to solve, I can ask them, and they can pretty much give me an idea because they've lived so much and they know much more than I do. So I take their advice and I save myself a lot of grief. Or I can say to myself, I'll take care of this myself my way, without really having any idea of what I'm doing, and then life will just hit me. And that's called the path of suffering. So the Kabbalists are saying, listen, if you want to be a Kabbalist, if you really want to reveal the Creator in this reality while you're living, it's a good idea to take our advice because, we've been through the same road you're going to go through. So why suffer? Let's give you the advice and the recommendation. You do with it whatever you like. You don't have to believe us. just take the advice and go with it. You know, kind of like chew it, learn from it, so you can kind of adapt it to yourself, to your own understanding, and from that kind of flow with the whole study and the methodology of Kabbalah. And that's what a guide does. And that's our situation. All right? So that's the environment we have. And in the outside world, well, we're also exposed to an environment, aren't we? We're just like exposed to work. Okay, I have my boss. I have family, health, traffic, whatever. Okay, everything. Advertising, media, friends. Friends. So everything around me, okay, is my environment, and that's always influencing me one way or another. So all my thoughts, what does it mean that it's really influencing me? Well, it influences my desires. It influences what I want from my life. Because if I see in the media some new car or a new holiday, or I don't know, something new, I instinctively feel like, oh, maybe I should do that, or maybe I should go there for my holiday. So it influences my desires. And once my desire is influenced, guess what happens to my thoughts? My thoughts start to think about how to get what I want. And that's a formula you should never forget. Because the moment you have a desire, your head is going to start working about how to make that happen. And once you're in that cycle, that's it. You're stuck in this world. How to get out of that loop? Well, if you stick your head into this environment. So that this environment can also influence you, but it will influence your desire for spirituality. And if you have now an influence on the desire for your spirituality, then your thoughts will be for spirituality. And that's why the importance of environment is a key element in spiritual development. Okay? Now this is our lesson in a nutshell. In this nutshell, okay, our only point in our life, okay, in this whole story, the only point of freedom that we have in life is accordingly the choice between this and that. That's the only freedom we have. Because no matter which environment I put my head into, I'm going to be under the influence of that environment. And freedom of choice for us is going to be right in between. Later on, we'll talk about freedom of choice more. But at the moment, you should understand that freedom of choice for humanity is the choice of environment. Later, like I said, we'll learn how to be active in that freedom of choice. But that's another semester's work. At the moment, this is what we should understand. So you guys now have a freedom of choice. You can choose where you want to be, from what you want to be influenced by. That's your freedom of choice. Now, up to here, Anthony, have we got any questions that you might want to...
Yes, and we have one that particularly sticks out because it actually has no name attached to it. It just says @ but it is a very good question. Okay. It says, Dear teachers, each lesson you emphasize the importance of a group, but can you also explain how to integrate into a right group? I'm not so good, social developed, and I live pretty isolated from the corporeal world.
That's a really good question. how are we going to be integrated inside a group? Well, we start with the education center, don't we? We have a learning center here. We have an education format here. So this is where we start, because this is also in an environment for us, aren't we? We're learning here. So we have lessons. Okay. We have books, lessons plus books. So all these things can actually help us build an environment. So if you're quite isolated, but if you have internet, or if you don't have internet, you can have books, okay? And if you have internet, then you can obviously join the Learning Center, Education Center. You can join the friends on our Facebook page. You can join the friends in social media. And every now and then we have a congress. If you have the opportunity, you can come and join the congress so you can meet the people and the friends. So there are a lot of options we have. Thank goodness it's the 21st century and technology is really developed and we can all get connected on the internet. So right now, if the internet is your only way of keeping in touch, use it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and I think the social writings of Rabash is a really good way to know how to treat your friends and integrate into societies. And also to add, that question came from Barbara from Spain/Holland. She rewrote it and added her name to it. Okay. We have another one specifically from Johnny from Johannesburg, and it says, Mutlu, why only men in the morning lessons in groups? Why this environment in this world?
Okay, this relates to the roots and branches. Let's do this. So that's Johnny from Johannesburg.
Uh-huh.
That wouldn't happen to be our Johnny, would it?
Pulling a fast one on us, huh?
Okay, right then. Look, we have to look at things from a perception of reality, but this is going to take some time. So let me just get into it. Why? In life, everything is based on two forces, a plus and a negative. This is how reality is actually made. This is why we have day, night, beautiful, ugly, sweet, bitter. Everything is in two opposite contrasts so that we can actually clarify all the intricate details in between them. All right? So this is how nature is. And for us to also clarify our own nature as well, and what our nature is made of, this plus and minus, the creator, all of this creation, is composed of two sexes. One is called a man, and the other one is called a woman. All right, so you'll have to excuse my drawing, but you get the drift, right? There we go. So the whole of reality, life, is supposed to teach us, okay? And because we're learning from the laws of nature, how to kind of connect everything, this is also a concept that we need to use when we're studying spirituality. Now, the creator, as you can not see, is not around. So he's not around to really show us how we should be doing things. But he said, well, he didn't say, but what he has done is, which we could say he said, okay, because we see life, he kind of created reality and said, this is how reality works. Figure it out, okay, and you'll figure out how to live here, and you'll figure out how to reveal me while you're here. And that's the wisdom of Kabbalah. So, in the morning lesson, why are men only study the morning lesson? Well, because, for two good reasons. One is men represent, in reality, the concept called intention. Now, don't forget, we are all of us, men and women, are a desire to receive pleasure. All of us. Right? Men and women. We are just talking about representations here in nature. So don't get carried away with other things. Stay with me and focus. Man represents the intention, and the woman represents the desire. In life, it's like that. This is why when you get married, or if you're married already, the wife, wants a lot of things from a man. She's very demanding sometimes. She says, we need this for the house, we need this for the kids, and so on. She's like not giving us much rest, is she? And that's how it's supposed to happen. Because our desires actually, they don't give us rest. Okay? So the Creator created this whole reality in such a way that the female part of creation is also a desire to receive. She wants things. And that's representing our desire to receive. However, in reality, what needs to really be corrected is what? The intention. Because right now, we're a desire to receive with an intention to receive for ourselves. So we're doubly receiving. I want everything, and I want everything just for me, and the rest of the world, who cares? I don't care. This is what our nature is. This is why we love to be on top of others. We love to be richer than our neighbors. We like to know more than our natures. We like to be more popular than our friends. Why? Because by nature, default, we like to be on top of everyone. And that's called intention. And in reality, the first thing, the real thing that needs correction is only the intention. And that is represented by the male part of reality. Okay? Even though, once again, we're all a desire to receive. Now, because we men need to correct our intention, and we need to come to a situation where we need to reach brotherly love, okay, which means that love without bias. So it needs to be with friends I don't know, I haven't met, but they're like brothers. Now, we have a problem if we get together with men and women together. Why? Because, well, for one thing, we're a desire to receive. And the most fundamental desires that we have are what? Food, family, and sex, like we talked about it a minute ago. And man is not a very strong creature, unfortunately. In fact, man is so weak. For 100 grams of peanuts, he can sell out his own family. I'm not kidding. We are weak creatures, and we don't have to pretend otherwise. Now, Kabbalists know this. So they're saying, listen, if you study in a mixed group, you're going to have dramas. Why? Because our intention needs to be corrected. And the only way to correct our intention is by having a right approach towards the attribute of bestowal, which is towards the attribute of creator. But if we are in a mixed group, like here, let's say the red are the ladies, okay, and we're all mixed, and the green are the guys, okay, and if we study in a mixed group, they're saying your mind, your intentions, okay, will not be directed towards the creator, because our first animate instinct and desire is based on primitive things like food, family, and sex. Now, in reality, there is one very powerful weapon. It's called thoughts. In fact, the whole of reality is run by thoughts. So during the act of spiritual study, one's thoughts need to be directed exactly and precisely towards the goal, right there, and not in here. Now, suppose let's give a good example. Suppose I was studying Kabbalah in a group, okay, with Anthony, and all the guys, let's say, and we were studying together with also ladies as well. Now, because we are weak creatures and we can't really maintain our thoughts completely in one direction because we lack focus. Okay? The Kabbalists are saying that's not good while you're studying spirituality, because we're only together for a limited moment in time during the day, only for a few hours. Well, we need to make the best of it. So they understand that we're weak creatures, and in order to make sure that we don't get distracted, we keep things simple. The guys study together, and the ladies, they study together as well. So we have separate groups so that our thoughts do not get distracted. Okay, this is very important. And it doesn't matter how old a man is. A man can be 100 years old. He will still have this problem. This is law of nature. All right? So be mindful, and this is the reason why. Any other questions?
Yes. A couple more questions about it in relation to environment. Jose Carlos from Spain says, does B'nai Baruch put each of us in a group?
Okay. Where is he from?
He's from Spain /
Portugal.
Portugal.
Okay. Well, look, you'll be happy to know that we have some really good friends in Spain and in Portugal. And if you watch the morning lesson, you'll probably see them. There's a group there, virtual, Portugal/Spain or Spain/Portugal. They're with us every morning. They're a bunch of great friends. We always have friends coming here from Spain and Portugal, especially during congresses. So yeah, there are groups right now. It's all according to countries and locations. So if there are a lot of people in your city, let's say, you can join them, you can come together, and you can start forming a group. This is how we started in Sydney, Australia. Okay, I'll tell you, Sydney is a very, very interesting group. We were on the other side of the world. I'm from Australia, even though I'm Turkish. But we came here, several friends all came here together. And when we were in Australia, there was no group. So we kind of got in touch through the website, through the internet, and said, is there anybody else studying? And there was no education center at that time. But, through the internet, we got in touch through the website, and they said, yeah, there are a few people in Australia. And we got together and we made a group. That group is still carrying on in Sydney, Australia. So yeah, it's very much possible that people who live close to each other can come together and make a group. Okay? Your spiritual development is up to you. We cannot and we should not make groups for you. But if you have groups, or you have people who have a desire to be a group, that's the best thing. Okay? Because if we kind of come from the outside and start putting you together, that's not good. We can help you, that's for sure, but to do the job on your behalf wouldn't get you far. So I'm sure there are a lot of friends who'd be interested to meet, and Portugal, fortunately, is not such a huge country. I've been there twice. It's a lovely place, and I'm sure you'll have enough opportunity to kind of even if you're far, you can get to see each other on the weekends or whatever. Okay, so but keep in touch with us, bear with us, and then we'll get to meet those friends as well along the line. Yeah.
Okay, one more that was sort of in relation to the same thing. It says, will you tell us one day that we need to move to complete studies physically in a center, or will we complete studies through these online lessons?
Well, look, we give lessons every day. Every morning there's a lesson. All right. And there are a lot of people around the world who watch it virtually because they don't have a group or they don't have friends around them to make a group. So you can, if that's your situation, let's say we've got friends all over the world, right, in Siberia, in China, Alaska, and some of those friends, they don't have friends around. Somebody lives in China and the other guy in China is like, 2 days away. So what happens is they watch virtually. But as long as you're with us, because the important thing is what? At the end of the day, the important thing is to be together in the same desire, in the same intention, studying together. And it doesn't matter where we really are. What matters is where my thoughts are. So that's very important. And I think this is why technology has developed, because through technology, we can all actually be in the same thought. We can be anywhere in the world and we can still feel like we're together. Just like right now, even though I don't see you, it's a very strange but dynamic and bizarre feeling that we're kind of like all together because we're like integrated right now.
It's a big spider web of friends all over the place. We've got Spain, Holland, we've got Africa, we've got Portugal, we've got South Africa, we've got the UK, Florida, the United Kingdom. We've got people from all over the place here. And we got a big one from forgive me if I say your name wrong, but Miroslav Spasov from the United Kingdom. Mm-hmm. I hope I said that right. We've got a lot of friends from all over the place here. Germany, some more people from Israel. We've got Cape Town, South Africa. This is a beautiful thing. Sweden even here. So it's Serbia as well. So we've got a lot of connections through technology and through, I think, the thought and the intention as well.
Exactly. Great. So we have everything pretty much ready in life to study this. All you need is a desire. That's why environment is important. Okay. Any other question there, Anthony?
We have one more, and there's no name, so I'm thinking this might be Barbara again by accident. Let's see here. Do we have morning classes online and night classes online? And what we have now, is it only evening classes? So where can we attend the morning classes?
Right now, what you have is the Education Center lessons. However, every morning there are lessons given by the Rav from our website, which is Kabbalah.info. You can watch lessons through the website, through the internet from kab.tv. Let's just write these down for you. If you want to watch lessons every morning, okay, it's on kab.tv. You need to select English, and it starts at 02:45 Israel time. And it goes until 05:45. Okay? So we have 3 hours every day. If you're interested, you can watch. Not a problem. If you miss out on a lesson, you can always go to the archive. These websites are handy to have. KabbalahMedia.info. And you can watch the morning lesson in the archive there every day as well, in your own time. Okay? So make a note of these, and I think it's good to stick your head in there and take a look. Now, what else do I need to tell you guys today? What else do we need to go over? Environment is a problematic thing. Why? Well, when I say problematic, obviously I'm talking it from an advantageous point of view. Why? Because wherever there's a problem in life, there's an opportunity. Okay? There's an opportunity to advance. Now, this is the general picture we drew. And I'm going to tell you now what you're going to go through. And you should know what you're going to go through, because if you already know what you're going to go through before you go through it, what happens? You're already smart enough not to fall. When we're trying to get into the environment, when we come to a Kabbalah group, if the Creator gives you a good sensation, a good feeling, He's already holding your hand. When you first come, you feel like you found the answer to your questions, you have a good feeling, a good vibe that this is what you were looking for. You should remember that sensation. That good initial feeling He gave you when you first came. Because afterwards He's going to take that sensation away. And when He does, a lot of people fall off the bandwagon, unfortunately, because they think it's all going to go in this elevated, flying in the clouds kind of atmosphere. Well, unfortunately, life isn't like that, and neither is spirituality. Okay? Spirituality is not flying in the clouds somewhere and feeling like, I don't know what you're high on. Okay? Spirituality is very concrete. It's actually developing a higher level of consciousness while living here. And in order to develop a higher level of consciousness, it means I have to know the full spectrum of the worst thing and the best thing. Okay, like those two plus and minuses, right? The minus and the positive. So when I'm trying to develop in spirituality, the Creator is going to leave me in a dilemma. And that dilemma is this question: is it going to be spirituality or is it going to be me? Okay? Now, when I say me, obviously my desire to receive for myself, so I'm talking about corporeality, worldly. That critical choice, that critical point every time that I'm going to have to come to, is it going to be spirituality? Is it going to be corporeality? Am I going to watch football today, or am I going to listen to Mutlu? Well, he's a bit boring. He doesn't say anything new. He's got us hooked up on this thing called connection. And, let's just watch the World Cup. Okay? I mean, come on. Who wants to miss a football match, right? So the Creator is going to leave us in these dilemma moments all the time. So the person who wants to advance in spirituality is kind of fighting all the time. All right? Now, you guys are probably wondering why there are so many wars in the world. Right? It's crazy, right? There's always conflict. If there were no wars in the world, I'd probably be fighting with my neighbor. Okay, because life is a fight, isn't it? I'm fighting with the competition. I'm, in a struggle with my colleagues. Who's going to do better today? I'm always in strife. Even inside the family, we have arguments with neighbors, family, traffic, everything. So the whole existence is a war. It's a battlefield, right? Well, this is why we have wars in this world, because this is the kind of war we need to live inside of us as well. Because everything that happens in reality is actually a reflection of everything that I'm going to be kind of going through. So, in spirituality also, in order to advance, I need to be in war against my evil inclination. My evil inclination is my desire to receive for myself, my egoism. It wants things for itself. It doesn't want to do things for other people. And on the other hand, I have the dot in the heart. It's like that. It's like that cartoon when Tom wants to eat Jerry in a sandwich. All of a sudden, on his right shoulder, this angel pops up. He goes, "Hey, don't eat it. It's Jerry. What are you doing?" And on the other hand, this devil cat kind of wakes up on his left shoulder and goes, "What are you talking about? You're a cat. Eat the mouse." Okay? So he's left in this dilemma. He doesn't know what to do, right? So that's the kind of war that we're going to be kind of constantly going through. Am I going to do this for the friends? Will I be able to think about the friends, or do I want to think about myself? Will I go to the lesson today, or shall I go out today? Okay? All kinds of things that you might think about. And those things are called, from the last lesson, you remember, as obstacles. Okay? Obstacles, which I have to somehow overcome. In order for me to overcome obstacles, I'm going to need help. But remember what an obstacle is. Obstacle is something that's going to keep me away from my spiritual environment. That's an obstacle. Because we're left in between two natures, and between these two natures, I have to build myself. And that's why we have right line and the left line and the middle line in spirituality. So all of a sudden, I'm in a situation where I find myself in a dilemma between the right line and the left line. And this is spiritual, and this is corporeal. However, I need both of them. So don't look at corporeality as if it's, as if it's redundant or something we need to delete or get rid of. No. Religions try to do that, and very unsuccessfully too, I might add. They love to restrict themselves only to have it blow up in their face afterwards. The Kabbalists are working completely in a different way. They're saying, hey, don't worry about the desires that come out. It doesn't even matter what kind of desires come up in me. It could be really awful desires, simply for one good reason. I did not create me. So all the desires I have inside of me are not man-made. So it's not my problem at all. The only problem we have is the choice of how to advance. So on the one hand, what's going to happen is this. You're going to have corporeal desires that will want to attract you. And on the other hand, you will have spiritual desires that will want to attract you. And in between them, you will build yourself. And this building is called spirituality. That's the real you. Okay? The right line is not you, the left side is not you. You are building yourself inside these two forces by having discernments and impressions about everything you're going through and clarifying to yourself what your nature is, and on top of that, what the nature of the Creator is, and how to use your nature and the Creator's nature to advance even to a higher level of consciousness. So you are not a slave of your desires. You are also not the slave of the Creator's desires, but from both of them, you begin to build yourself from scratch. And that's called building reality. Just like the Creator created reality out of nothing, we, throughout this mechanism, build a reality out of scratch, just like the Creator. And that gives us the opportunity to really understand what the Creator was planning and thinking all along. That's in a nutshell, Kabbalah. All right? So this is our dilemma. This is where the fight is. All right? And as you can imagine, the right and the left, they're the environments, aren't they? So I have to kind of, on the one hand, this is why we can't get rid of our corporeal environment. The Creator forcefully sticks us in there. And even if we wanted to delete our desires, we can't. Why? Because the most simplest thing is I have to eat, don't I? To live. And that's a desire. To eat is a desire. So by default, the Creator already gives me desires that I can't delete, I can't get rid of. So this is already a sign that I don't need to worry about the desire. I just need to use it in order to advance. Okay? This is why corporeality is also very important in our lives. We don't get rid of it, but as we give importance to spirituality, we begin to grow up. What does that mean? Well, instead of playing with car toys that I used to play with when I was 3 years old, I start to, when I grow up, I don't really look and play around with toy cars anymore, do I? This is like that in spirituality as well. As I advance in spirituality, the things that I used to enjoy in corporeality start to become naturally redundant. Just like we don't play with toys anymore, we look at our life and say, you know what? Compared to the things I'm dealing now in spirituality, these worldly things are just like not worth it. It's just like child's games, children's games. So naturally I begin to be more selective in my desires. That's building a mind. It's becoming more selective. It's becoming more mature. It's beginning to choose things that are more beneficial for my spiritual advancement instead of my corporeal life. At the end of the day, remember where our corporeal life is going. We're only going to end up dead. Okay? This is our corporeal life. And as days go by, only one thing is going to happen to this guy. He's just going to rest in peace. Well, that's wishful thinking as well. I mean, all our life, we can't get any rest in this world, and our hope is to get some rest and peace after we die. Okay, this is why they say rest in peace. I mean, come on, all right? So, as you advance with the dot in the heart, you begin to think, wait a minute, if I'm going to end up here, wishful thinking to rest in peace, why not use this time span to elevate myself and attain this higher level of consciousness while living in this world and completely cancel this corporeal death by beginning to live in a higher level of perception? It's a very rational calculation. And if you're a good accountant or if you're good at maths, you'll definitely choose this one. Think about it. I have a lifetime which is limited. And now I'm going to use it for one of two things. One thing is for sure, I'm going to die. Corporeally, that's for sure. But during that time, if I attain spirituality, it means that I'm already living at a higher level of existence while also maintaining my corporeality. But just like I'm getting bald, okay, see my hair's falling out, I'm getting bald at my old age. What happens is, yeah, just like I don't feel any pain when I'm losing my hair because my hair belongs to the vegetative level, not to my animate level, right? Just like I don't feel pain when I'm losing my hair or the hairdresser is cutting it. I don't scream. It's not like he's cutting my flesh. Or when I'm cutting my nails, I don't feel any pain because nails, hair, they represent a lower level of existence than my animate life. Well, a spiritual life is not affected if my body dies. All right, does that make sense to you? Because it should. It's very logical. Reality is existent on still, vegetative, animate, and human. Human means spiritual. If I attain this level and then I die, that is my body, it doesn't matter because I'm still alive here. Just like if I cut my hair or I lose my hair, let's say I'm going bald, okay, or I cut my nails, it doesn't affect my body. My body is still alive, even though my hair is dead. Very logical. So it all comes down to this critical choice of what is more important. And I can only make something important for myself if the environment influences me. Especially when we're doing spiritual work, which is against our nature of self-reception. This is why the environment is the only way to advance. It's the only trigger that puts you into motion to advance. Whew. Any questions?
Oh, yes, and we've got some good ones. Let's start here with Sarah. Sarah's from Denmark. She says, I recognize these obstacles. Will these obstacles stop bothering me someday?
Don't look to stop bothering them. They're actually helping you out. If you didn't have these obstacles, you'd never have free choice. If you never had free choice, you would not be different from an animal. This is why it's so important not to delete these things. We must be in between the two. Obstacles on the one hand, okay? Help on the other hand. This has to be in this way. So don't delete the obstacles, otherwise you'll never be free. Okay, an animal in the forest does not have any freedom because it doesn't have, it's like it's flowing with its own nature. It has no inner obstacle. So it's just an animal. But the purpose of our life is not to be an animal. The purpose of our life is to be a human. Human means just like God Himself. No less. I know it's a little hard to grasp right now, but think about it in terms of qualities, in terms of attributes, not in terms of a personality. Because this is what we're supposed to build for ourselves, and we have the capacity to do so. All right? So don't delete the obstacles. Instead, whenever you have an obstacle, use the friends in order to help you out. Use the environment, the lessons, the books, anything you can do with the friends, meeting with the friends. Go out and have coffee with your friends. Anything. Do anything. If you're alone somewhere, have a virtual coffee with your friends. Hook up on your Messenger or whatever.
Skype or something.
Skype something. Grab a cup of coffee. Let them grab a cup of coffee. Have a heart-to-heart chat. Do something, anything with friends on the same path as you. All right? If you didn't have these two things, you can't build yourself. All right? So don't get rid of the obstacles. Look at them as real help from above. And a lot of people leave the path because these obstacles, they just don't know how to deal with it. We don't need to deal with the obstacle. We just need to kind of like direct ourselves towards the environment every time they kind of pop up. I don't have to solve it. I just have to go into the environment, and the environment will solve it. I don't know how to explain. I've seen a lot of people fall off the bandwagon because of this. Okay, but it's not a hard thing to do at all, and I really don't understand why. Because it's so easy to do. All you have to do is just stick your head in the environment. Open a book, listen to a lesson, call a friend, go have a meal with the guys or the group or whatever, anything. All right?
Definitely. We have actually someone here to attest to what you just said. Hartwig at South Africa says, the first time I joined B'nai Baruch fundamental semesters was in 2009. I was sent obstacles and I fell back into the egotistic desires. And now I'm here again. I would like to back you, Marty, on this one. I understand this through experience, and unfortunately, I have missed a couple of years of qualitative studying. Grateful to be back here with you guys again, though.
That's also good because it's a learning curve. All right. So as long as you're back in action, obviously the creator took you around the park for a little walk on the leash and showed you once again there's nothing really to sniff around there in the park. All right. Except all the other dogs have been in the tree. It's not a nice smell, I'm sure. So this is why we're back into spirituality. But it's good because we sometimes need to feel those things. So yeah.
Now, Miroslav at the UK, he's asking, in an advanced phase of building the screen, is the corporeality still there?
Yeah, the corporeality is there until the last correction of the individual soul. Yeah.
Okay. And we have some more. Wow, the questions are coming in. Love it.
Hotcakes.
Louisa at the UK.
Yeah.
How do you know when you are being influenced by the environment?
Ask yourself where your thoughts are and write them down. It's good to have a notebook, guys. I've been through quite a few notebooks myself, and it's good to have a notebook. Just, see where your thoughts are. Because if you're connected from spirituality, just very easy. Am I thinking about things that are corporeal? Am I thinking about my spiritual development? If the things I'm thinking about in corporeality, are they really necessity for my existence? Or are they just, things that I wouldn't really care about anyway? It's good to think about. It's good to write these things down. Really, it makes you really see where you're at inside. Yeah.
And Jose Carlos from Spain and Portugal says, but do we arrive to a point that we start to know how to deal with the obstacles in a good way, with less suffering?
Yeah, you do actually. Every time these obstacles come, you just say to yourself, well, here, let me give you a tip. Let's say, okay, I want to advance in spirituality. Let's say I made a decision right now. It might change tomorrow. It doesn't matter. But let's say I made a decision to advance in spirituality. Okay? And I understand that the environment is influential. So I'm stuck in between these two things. So am I going to go to spirituality or am I going to go to corporeality? Okay, let's say my animate life. Okay, the path of the animal, the path of the spiritual. So what am I going to do? I can't disconnect from corporeality. On the other hand, I don't want to leave spirituality. So I ask myself this very simple question. Okay, it's a good exercise for you guys. Is the thing I'm going after right now necessary for my worldly existence? That's the question. Is what I'm chasing really necessary for my existence? Yes or no? If it's yes, carry on. If it's no, go to the group. Okay, go to the group. Okay, let's say group is your spiritual environment. Let's say you go there. Easy peasy. Now, what is necessary for your life? You guys decide. I'm not going to tell you what's necessary for A, B, C people. Everybody needs to look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, in my corporeal life, I need to have this. It's, for me, I feel that it's necessary. So for some person, it might be something very trivial or even silly. But for you, it really might be a necessity. So you have to make your own decisions. Otherwise, you can't grow anyway. All right? So just think about it that way. What do I need to live in this life like a normal person? And then I can dedicate the rest of my time to spirituality. And if I do need something, yeah, well, I need to take care of it, don't I? For example, health. It's a necessity, isn't it? So if I feel like I need to eat healthy, if I need to exercise and those things, if I need to dedicate some time for those things because I need to be healthy, then yeah, sure, go ahead. Okay? But these are all personal level choices. Okay? And so because through this, you'll be building yourself by yourself. And that's the beautiful thing about Kabbalah. This is why no Kabbalist will tell you what to do and what not to do. Okay, there we go. Yep, any other questions?
Alrighty, yes, we've got plenty in there coming in today. I have a question here. It says, so currently we don't have a soul, but we attain and aim to build one or get in touch with one, and once that happens, we are in a higher state than death, but we have to experience it to get rid of our current suit. But then do Kabbalah think we will be back in corporeal again, or we will experience a new state of life?
Okay, that's a good question. First of all, guys, you're right. We don't have a soul. Okay, it's wishful thinking in religions that we have a soul. Unfortunately, it's just wishful thinking. If we had one, we'd feel it. So we don't have one, so we don't feel it. In this life, we just feel two things, good or bad. That's it. So what do we have to do? Well, the Creator wakes up this thing called the dot in the heart, this inclination to find the meaning of life, which we feel needs to be beyond the corporeal desires that we have. So that's our starting point. So all I have to do is from that starting point build a new reality called spirituality, where I feel my soul. If I correct everything in my life, in my desires, that is, and turn them all into bestowal and love, just like the Creator, then I begin to live in a higher level of existence. And then I will not need to feel this corporeal level of existence. Why? Because corporeality within itself, in reality, is an intention to receive for myself. So if I have corrected all the levels of intention to receive for myself, then I won't need to be here in this level of existence. It'll be a higher conscious state of existence. We'll actually feel the whole of reality as a system of existence. So how's that going to happen? Just like a baby grows inside the mother's womb from a little drop of sperm and egg connecting and becoming an embryo. In spirituality, inside this group, this environment becomes our womb. So inside this environment called the womb, we can just grow and then give birth to ourselves in spirituality and build, just like in this world we are born and we build a life for ourselves, we can build a life for ourselves in spirituality.
And Hilly Erickson asked from Sweden, do you know if there are any Kabbalist groups in Sweden?
In Sweden, we have some lovely friends, which I am sure you'll be delighted to meet. And if you want to come to the Congress in February, I'm sure a few of them are coming from Sweden. We have a bunch of friends in the Scandinavia. In fact, they're called the Scandinavian Group. And they're a really nice bunch. And they always pop over when we have a Congress here in Israel. So if you feel like coming over, you should. And you should get in touch with us through our website to see if other friends are coming from Sweden, Denmark, and so on, Norway. And then you can probably come with them and join us here for the Congress. And then they'll give you a good opportunity to meet them, to mix with them and mingle with them and so on. So it's on the 21st to the 23rd of February. You can go to our website, Kabbalah.info, and check out the details. Yeah.
And you'll also get to see Marty and I too. We'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Nila from Serbia is asking, how about women's groups? Is there an online women's group with whom I can learn virtually?
Definitely. Definitely there is. Once we finish this education center, there'll be an integration process. You'll be able to meet some friends in Serbia. I think we've got friends in Serbia as well. There should be a few. So hopefully, there are a few friends everywhere, or they'll be close to you. Okay, they'll either be close to you in Croatia, because I know we've got some friends in Croatia. I'm sure there'll be some friends in Serbia, and so on. So you'll be able to definitely meet them.
Sounds great. And also Adrian wrote in and just wanted to say that, well, for one, let's see here. Just wanted to say that he is in, oh, I lost my place here. Valentina, hello. And Adrian is saying hello from Romania. and just wanted to let us know that when I was naming our father friends from everywhere, that Romania is definitely here with us, so we're glad to have you with us as well.
And we have a lot of friends in Romania as well.
Lots of great friends. Actually, a good friend of ours, Johnny, was there in Romania visiting with friends there recently, and he told me nothing but wonderful things about them. Now, we have a few questions that actually came from Facebook, and one of those questions came from our good friend Paradizi from Zimbabwe. And he had a few questions, but one of them was, he says that he didn't get to make the lesson last week on, or the lesson that we had on ascents and descents. However, because of some obstacles, he said, I did, however, watch the catch-up program, and I have a few questions based on the subject. He said he heard the Rav talked about bouncing up and down of our interest towards the Kabbalah. The descents is happening in one's lifetime. Is there anything that one can do to remain focused so as to not experience the descents, or these descents or necessary for his or her growth? How then do we look for each other, motivate, etc., and other redirect each other? In order to redirect each other, sorry about that.
The only thing that's going to help you is the environment. I know I know maybe I'm sounding like a scratch records for those who remember the 80s when we had vinyl, okay? But the truth of the matter is, it's the environment. Now, obstacles are not something we want to delete, just like I answered our friend from Denmark. It doesn't matter if I have an obstacle. If actually an obstacle is a good thing, it's a great opportunity for me to jump up to the next level. So don't look at an obstacle like it's going to kill you or something. No. If we didn't get obstacles, we wouldn't advance, and that's the real death in spirituality. In spirituality, death means I'm not going forward. Okay? So having these obstacles are a great thing. You don't need to delete them. We just have to find, we just have to make that decision, that freedom of choice to choose the right environment, because the only reason the obstacle is coming to me is so that I can stick my head into the environment and advance spiritually. If I don't, then suffering is going to come. Why? Because, look guys, the purpose of creation is to reach the Creator, right? That's just how it is. There's nothing we can do about it, because the Creator has a purpose in life. The Creator would not do anything without a purpose. So we've been through the still, vegetative, animate, and the human level of desires, and now we're with the dot in the heart, and we need to get here. So getting here is built on obstacles. All these things are obstacles that I'm going through. Look at it, they include all my desires. All right? This is why I'm drawing it like this. As I go higher and higher, okay, all of these desires that I had from before, the still, the vegetative, the animate, and the human, okay, all of these things are still inside of me. So this sex, family, food, okay, money, honor, knowledge, they're all inside of me. And on top of all of that, I have to build spirituality, okay? So yeah, of course we're going to have obstacles, but that's the beauty about it, because if I don't have these things already inside of me, there are no discernments for me to make when I'm going up to spirituality. So all of this foundation, all of these things that we've been through, and luckily we've been through them as well, become what? It becomes my base, it becomes my foundation, so that I could build this little thing called spirituality. Okay? And this little thing here, that little triangle, will control everything underneath, all my desires. Why? Because that's my head. Okay? And the head controls the rest of the body. In fact, it's a little pea in my brain, a little pea-sized thing that's here, okay, controlling the whole of the body. That's why. So that's the whole idea. All right, so if the more we advance, we're advancing with these obstacles so we can actually build a mind fitting for spirituality. So please, don't be afraid of the obstacles. Don't be afraid of anything that pops up. Just use it as a leverage to stick your head into the group. Because once you're inside that cocoon, the group is just going to lift you up. It's just going to take care of the problem for you. It's going to bring you the solutions. It's going to bring you the understandings, everything. All right? All right.
So, I got something else here from Simone. Simone in Germany. Simone says, I attend the Nuremberg group in Germany a few times, but was told that for attending on a regular basis, I should be a little more advanced in my studies. On the other hand, they told me that one really needs to have a physical group. The students there work in groups of 10 for attracting the light and helping correct each other. That was kind of confusing and a little discouraging for me. For beginners, it's not so easy, at least in Germany, to get entrance to the community in that way. Can you explain a little bit?
I should explain. First of all, it's actually good for you to finish the learning center first. All right. We have this procedure in many groups, in pretty much all the groups, right? Here as well. So if a person is new, he'll need to go through the campus, first semester, second semester, third semester, and then they have to go through this process called the young group. And then they kind of get into the group. And this is a very correct way of doing it. Just like we don't take our little kindergarten kids into high school and say to them, right now you need to solve all the maths and the physics and the chemistry that belong to high school, even though you're 2 years old. Tough cookies. All right, just like we don't do that to our kids, it's not, we also don't want to do that to you, because the most important thing here is that you begin to understand what the fundamentals are all about. Okay, so you can have a good base, a good foundation for the house, all right? And if you build that good foundation with all this knowledge, then when you get into the group, you're ready. You're ready to kind of bounce back and forth with the group. And then you begin to understand what an obstacle is. You begin to understand how to reflect a situation inside and how to work with it to advance correctly in spirituality. So if you didn't have all that knowledge from beforehand, it'll just do you won't continue. You'll just fall off. So this is very, very important. And the friends have done the right thing. Okay. So the most important thing for you at this moment is to build this foundation together with us. Right now you're in the second semester, that's great. Hopefully once we're done here, we've got another 6 more lessons to go. We'll have some more opportunity to build ourselves. And in this young group format, I don't know how that's going to happen, but we're working on it. So once we go through this young group process as well, there'll be a great opportunity to meet with the friends and get in there. And then at least you know what to expect. And that's very important. Because a lot of people have very different thoughts about spirituality. Like I said before, people think, some people think it's all airy-fairy and a good feeling and a good buzz. Some people think they're going to be floating on the clouds above this world somewhere. But Kabbalah is like really, really very, very practical. It's very hands-on, nitty-gritty, and right in the middle of corporeal reality. We don't delete ourselves and go off onto the mountains and meditate or something. So it takes a bit of foundation building to make sure that when you get in there, it's easier for you as well.
Definitely, it's very important. I actually I did the education center for 3 years in Texas, and I was a graduate of it. And then I was part of the Dallas group there. And then whenever I moved here to Israel, I'm currently going to the young group here as well. So it's part of integration into the society and preparing you for a lot of things that are great and yet to come. So very important. We have another question here from Hartwig in South Africa. He says, "How do we know when we have reached the first level of spirituality? First step of the 125."
Naughty, naughty. That's not part of our lesson today, but we will be touching on that. So stay with us. We'll be touching about spirituality, how we're going to be getting sensations with respect to that, bouncing on that, a bit of this, a bit of that, how we're going to be feeling in between, how we're going to have exalted feelings and then all of a sudden hit rock bottom again and think, oh, what's going on? It's like, coming out of a hot sauna and jumping into a, ice lake. We're going to be talking about all of them. So just bear with us. We can't do everything in one lesson.
Now, another question that is, I think, a really good one. It says, the environment that you've talked about, the need to be in the right environment in order to advance. Where can we connect, and how big does a group have to be?
All right. The group can be minimum 2 people. Okay? But, guys, because we have such a good virtual ability now with technology, okay, the group can be the whole world. Seriously. It's not a joke. The whole, this whole technology thing, the reason it's advanced so much is actually to connect us. Think of everything now in the social media that connects thousands of people together. Why do you think that's all been invented? Because by using media, we can actually connect. Okay, so we should learn from what's inside this corporeal world, because it's a reflection of the things that we're capable of doing. Now, guys, we have 4 minutes left. What I just want to do is do a little summary. Spiritual advancement is on a very straightforward, thin line. It's called free will. Free will is easy. I either choose spirituality or I choose corporeality. Choice is mine. What I mustn't forget is that there is a purpose to creation, and one way or another, either through suffering or through conscious development, I will have to get to the purpose of life, and there is no way anything is going to stop that. So there are 2 ways for us to advance, either by getting beaten up in life, or by taking the reins of development into our own hands and advancing consciously by educating myself spiritually in the right environment. Just like I educate myself in this world to get a career, to make money or whatever. Same mentality, right? Learn from this world. In order for us to do that, we need to build the environment. The environment is not just there so I stick my head in there. The components are there. So I have to build it myself. Just like when I go to school, university or whatever, I build myself to have the profession I chose. Same here. If you want to be spiritual, you got to build it. So what are the components? The components is a guide. Okay, the components are guide, the sources, the right sources, plus the friends. Right now, what do we have in our hands? Let's make a list. Let's write this down. Well, we have a guide. Yep. We have the books. Yep. And we have the education center. And we have our Facebook page. So we have these 4 tools that we can use to stay connected. So stay connected. Every Tuesday evening, you come, we carry on, and we don't stop. All right? Just keep going. Just like in life. When you have a bad day, you don't jump off the bridge. You wake up and you still go to work. All right? Just like tomorrow, we're all going to go to work. Same in spirituality. This is how we're going to do things. All right? Just like we do it in corporeality. But the thing here is that freedom of will is in your hands. Building the environment is again in your hands, not in anybody else's. So, through the environment, we'll come to advancing higher in spirituality by discovering our nature and the overall nature of creation. Now this is going to be all for today, but before we go, we have a clip from the Rav that the Rav is going to be talking about the center of the group. So don't turn off your screens just yet. We're going to say goodbye to you, but just watch this lesson, watch this clip, from the Rav. It's the second clip, the center of the group. And just watch it, just absorb it, think about it. And please, if you have the opportunity, just think about what an environment is in terms of spirituality, all right, for the next lesson. Because this is the most important fundamental thing. Just like we don't leave our kids alone and expect them to develop, we can't expect ourselves to develop alone without an environment either. Just like we build an environment for our children and for ourselves in life so that we can have a good life, we need to do the same so that we can have a good spiritual life, right? A productive spiritual life, something that, advances us, all right? It was a pleasure being with you as always. Me and Anthony will see you guys again next Tuesday.
Definitely.
In the meantime, have a great week.
Have a good
Enjoy
night.
the clip. Bye now.
Bye.
Now, outside of him is the group. Meaning this point is a point which is connected entirely to a system that's called the soul, say, or Adam, or Malchut, regardless, or the creature. In short, this is his connection. For us, it's the group. So what does he say? And without annulling self-love, which is actually one's current nature, it is impossible to achieve without the nullification of self-love, without annulling it. You can't achieve dvekut, adhesion with the Creator. First of all, I have to transcend my nature, to relinquish my self-love, my own nature, and then I reach a second nature, adhesion with the Creator. Doesn't matter how you put it. I can either be in this nature or in that nature. You have to decide. What do I want to belong to? Which is the meaning, equivalence of form. Now, I equivalent myself with my will to receive, with whatever is good and fulfills me. And if I want to equivalent myself to the Creator, I have to be in bestowal instead of reception. And since it is against our nature, we need a society. Meaning that there is a means in order to cross from my state to the upper state. This means this window through which I can leap. It's only through the group. Meaning that the group is the means. So you have to find out, what does it mean? What does group mean? I don't understand. I don't know what this animal is. What kind of an animal is it? It's something with which I make this transition from corporeality to spirituality. So now he starts to explain that we need a society that will form a great force. So the group is one big great force in quantity or quality. We have to understand, in order for us to be able to work together, it's not simply a power that you get, but we work together. So we'll work together in order to annul our will to receive, that is called evil, we call it evil, and then we achieve good.